And when you retire, I'm going to say, Jay Leno, I always loved him. He was my favorite comedian.
Don Rickles made over 100 appearances on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, more than almost any other guest across the show's 30-year run. And every single time, Carson laughed harder at Rickles than he did at anyone else. These are the moments that prove exactly why. Rickles and Carson double team Ed McMahon.
Yeah, I know. I knew you'd like this. Tell me. I said the dummy sliced off his thumb. What happened? He was doing his act at the Playboy Club, and he's got a vegetable slicer, and he sliced off a part of his thumb.
You find that very funny, that's it.
And you're a Marine colonel, huh?
30 years. That's how long Ed McMahon sat beside Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show desk from 1962 straight through to 1992. Long enough that most guests stopped registering McMahon as a target and started treating him like part of the furniture.
Are you saying that I can't act?
A fair statement, yes. I would say that. Let me put it the other way. You stink. You are not an actor. You are a multi-millionaire in what you do.
Rickles never made that mistake once. When McMahon had a notable public slip-up, Rickles and Carson converted The Tonight Show into a two-man operation. Carson building the architecture, Rickles firing the shots, McMahon absorbing the hits with that booming laugh that could rattle the studio walls.
Now, I remember when we first played, you don't play tennis, Ed. You got trouble moving that damn thing around. You ought to put a little horn on top of your head. I don't know why I'm picking you perspiring. I really got you locked tonight. I never saw you perspire.
Laughing.
The three-way dynamic is what separates this Tonight Show moment from a standard Rickles appearance. Carson is architect, Rickles is the McMahon is a willing and thoroughly entertained target.
Ed, you had an engagement party.
Yes.
Which we weren't invited to, but I'm not hurt. You wait till you see the gift we give you. Picture of my gynecologist on his way home.
Rickles turned the Tonight Show couch into a roast dais without anyone formally announcing that's what was happening. And Carson loved every second of it, because Rickles had this specific quality of making even a quiet Tonight Show night feel like the floor might give way at any moment.
Did you get engaged, Ed?
Yes, I did.
Sorry. Anyway, did you see the girl they got engaged to?
Certainly have.
Oh, God.
Rickles runs the show. Roastmaster for Dean Martin, February 27th, 1976.
It's time for revenge.
Without question, in fairness to Mr. Dean Martin, this has been one of the longest evenings I've ever spent in my life. The dinner was absolutely fantastic, I must say that. A bowl of peanuts and water with a guppy in it.
8 days after the Ali roast, Rickles wasn't on the dais as a panelist. He ran the entire evening, serving as roastmaster for Dean Martin's own celebrity roast on February 27th, 1976.
This is wonderful being here at the home. And I say this from my heart. No, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. No, I take it back. I swear. It's a joke. It takes many years to be a great comedian.
Sure does, and you ain't reached that year yet.
The roastmaster controls pacing, sequencing, and the room's energy across the full broadcast, which makes this the structural equivalent of Carson handing Rickles the Tonight Show desk and walking out.
There's no booing. There's no booing. If there's another outburst, we're going to let Bob Hope get up and do his jokes. We kid about great stars such as you, Bob Waugh, because you're old and washed up.
Rickles, a man who never committed a single written joke to paper across his entire career, now held the shape of the whole night in his hands. And he ran it the way Carson ran The Tonight Show, on instinct, on speed, on the specific warmth that turns an insult into something the target wants to remember.
Jimmy Stewart, one of our great stars. And James Stewart, I'd love you. We'd ask you to stand, but we know the movement could make you ill.
Those 100-plus Tonight Show appearances with Carson didn't only make Rickles a sharper performer, they built him into a host. Nobody Likes You. Friars Club Roast of Johnny Carson, 1968.
He's out on the highway with his father going, "Ah, Johnny loves us."
Most people frame this as a classic roast burn, but that reading misses what actually made it work. By 1968, Carson had spent 6 years turning The Tonight Show into a cultural institution, and the unspoken rule in that world was clear. Don't genuinely embarrass Johnny Carson, because Carson controls the guest list. Conventional thinking said, tread carefully would land when the line hit. Standing at the Friars Club podium with Carson seated right in front of him, Rickles delivered his verdict without a flicker of hesitation. From the bottom of my heart, Johnny, nobody likes you.
Johnny, I'd like to say from the bottom of my heart, nobody likes you, Johnny.
Not a jab, not a tease. A full declaration aimed at the most important man in the room. Carson's shoulders shook. His hand came up to cover his mouth. The full collapse followed. The specific laugh he only produced when Rickles was responsible for it. That line went on to become one of the most quoted moments in roast history. And it landed precisely because Rickles had spent 3 years learning to read Johnny Carson from the Tonight Show couch. Roasting Lucille Ball. Dean Martin Celebrity Roast, February 7th, 1975.
I must be honest. I never liked Lucille Ball. I never did.
Lucille Ball had been a national institution since I Love Lucy premiered in 1951, which meant that by February 7th, 1975, when Rickles stepped up at the Dean Martin Celebrity Roast to take her on, he was pointing his material at the most beloved comedian in American television history.
Folks, I would like to say, pardon me, this is one of the greatest nights of my career. This wonderful packed night, really, to honor Lucille Ball, a great lady, a woman that I worked with on our television show, bless her heart, and she was the one that said to me, kid, come here.
What's worth connecting here is the timeline. Rickles had logged a full decade of Tonight Show appearances with Johnny Carson by February 1975. 10 years of reading that room, calibrating the gap between affection and insult, learning to make the target feel honored instead of wounded.
What a night! Who are we honoring? And I'm just delighted.
Every roast performance Rickles delivered in the 1970s runs on the instincts he sharpened on The Tonight Show stage. The Dean Martin specials get the attention, but The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson did the actual construction work. Don Rickles pranks Frank Sinatra. The Tonight Show, 1978. Sinatra's temper was not a rumor in 1978. The entertainment world understood it as simple fact. Nobody pranked Frank Sinatra publicly, and certainly not on television. Rickles pranked Frank Sinatra on The Tonight Show in 1978, with Carson sitting right there watching every second of it unfold. And the best Carson moments across all those Tonight Show years aren't the ones where Carson controls the room. They're the ones where something catches him slightly sideways, where Rickles does a thing Carson anticipated, but whose exact shape Carson couldn't predict.
Sinatra is the boss because, for one reason, not because of the word boss, but because he stimulates excitement, he stimulates our industry, and he makes you nervous. You like that, don't you? You like to see me nervous.
That gap between anticipation and delivery is where Don Rickles spent his entire career living, and the Sinatra prank put it on full display. Carson's face across that segment is 90 seconds of barely managed delight. Eyebrows climbing, hand over the mouth, leaning back watching his friend do the one thing no reasonable person would attempt with Frank Sinatra, and pulling it off clean.
He was even nervous because he came to me and said, and I said, you are a powerhouse, and Frank, I love you.
That quality, the ability to catch Carson between expecting something and not knowing exactly what, is what kept Rickles on the Tonight Show guest list for over 100 appearances. Going after Doc Severinsen, across dozens of appearances.
And to this day, isn't it odd that, Doc, I look at you so you feel you're part of it. You look like a bad couch salesman, you know what I mean? Anyway, when you get a substitute, find a guy. This isn't his thing, you know. His thing is sitting home going...
Doc Severinsen led the Tonight Show band from 1967 all the way through Carson's final episode in May 1992. 25 years in the orchestra pit, sitting 12 feet from the guest couch every single night. Rickles treated those 12 feet as a target range, and he did it across dozens of Tonight Show appearances without ever giving Doc any warning.
The dove died, you know. I said the dove and Doc sits here going, I want the job. Give me a break. I want the job. Tell him what you told me, how fed up you are filling in for everybody.
Mid-sentence, mid-joke, mid-anything, Rickles would spin and fire a line at Doc or one of the Tonight Show musicians, and Carson's response never varied. Lean back, cover the mouth, let the shoulders do the rest. Carson never warned Doc. He never warned anyone. He released Rickles into the room and watched the results.
But now we're both happily married.
Absolutely.
You went through a couple of warm-ups, but
Watching those Tonight Show clips, the Severinsen bits used to seem like a secondary trick, a warm-up before the real material aimed at Carson himself. But that reading was wrong. The Doc bits are actually the clearest window into what made Rickles different on that stage, because Rickles made the whole room feel unstable in the best possible way. Not just the desk, not just the couch, but the band, the stage, the curtain, the walls. Johnny Carson built his best Tonight Show nights around exactly that energy. Roasting Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin's Celebrity Roast, April 25th, 1975. 77 days after the Lucille Ball roast, Rickles stood at the same Dean Martin Celebrity Roast dais on April 25th, 1975, this time with Sammy Davis Jr. as the target.
Sammy, you people rust.
it's a wonderful treat to be able to, this wonderful black man. Sam, I kid you, we know each other a lot of years, really.
Rickles put his operating philosophy in plain language for The Guardian. I have based my whole humor on laughing at bigotry. If you don't laugh back, it's not funny. Davis, who had navigated an entertainment industry far more hostile than most people remember, understood that framework completely, and he could return fire with precision, which made him one of Rickles' favorite people to work against.
And I love the black people. We need you people, I swear, because no Jew's gonna make up a train.
The sharper the target, the sharper Rickles became, and Carson operated on the same understanding on The Tonight Show. Carson championed Rickles specifically because he recognized that the insults weren't cruelty wearing a comedy mask. They ran in the opposite direction entirely.
Brothers, we kissed, we hugged. Any black on my lips?
And every time Rickles sharpened himself on a roast stage, he showed up to The Tonight Show with Carson a little more dangerous, and Carson laughed a little harder because of it. Roasting Muhammad Ali, Dean Martin's Celebrity Roast, February 19th, 1976. 5 months before that Dean Martin Celebrity Roast on February 19th, 1976, Ali had defeated Joe Frazier in the Thrilla in Manila, October 1975, and arrived at the roast as arguably the most famous human being on the planet.
You don't steal, do you?
No way, Muhammad. Unless you say so. Hey, anything you say, I do.
Well, why do you talk like that?
Well, that's just
Ali was also one of history's great verbal performers, a man who had been calling himself the greatest before anyone else would agree. And who didn't absorb insults so much as redirect them with interest. What happened between Rickles and Ali at that roast comes closer to an even match than almost anything else in Rickles' career, because Ali operated on the same frequency, fearless, fast, performing for the room rather than for the individual target.
Now, if you met an Italian, do you talk in Italian?
No, I never talk in front of them. I tap dance.
11 years of Tonight Show appearances with Johnny Carson had given Rickles the exact toolkit for that kind of room, the ability to hold his ground against someone who could genuinely fight back. And every second of it showed on February 19th, 1976. The cigarette box incident. The Tonight Show, December 13th, 1976.
I want to know what you plan to do about this.
Well, I plan to wrap your hand in it. What do you want from me?
Most people know only the punchline on this one, and that's exactly why they get it wrong. The full sequence starts on December 13th, 1976, while Rickles was on the set of CPO Sharkey, his sitcom, and Bob Newhart was guest hosting The Tonight Show that specific evening because Carson was away. During the taping, Rickles accidentally broke Johnny Carson's wooden cigarette box.
Hey, you're not gonna have to hang. There's no more. This is not your line. You take. Oh, Carson's cigarette box. Oh, I broke his box. I broke Carson's cigarette box.
The box belonged to Carson. Carson wasn't even in the building.
Uh-oh. What the hell happened to this?
Well, as long as you've seen what happened.
You know how long I've had the cigarette box on his desk?
You brought that up from New York City?
I brought this from New York. What on earth?
It happened last night.
Who?
Don Rickles.
I did not see the
Don
show
Rickles
last
did it last night.
A reasonable person sends a replacement and a note. Rickles went on The Tonight Show that night and turned the whole incident into a televised confession, telling Newhart and the audience about the broken box and announcing he'd replace it with an X-ray of Carson's lungs.
To replace this. A wonderful, large, wonderful, beautiful X-ray of your lungs. Look.
The next day, with Carson back behind The Tonight Show desk and already laughing before the segment even started, the room fell apart. That's the specific thing worth understanding about Rickles. The instinct wasn't just for insults. It was for converting real awkwardness, real embarrassment, real relationships into Tonight Show material.
I just started the show. I picked my box up off my desk that I've had for 9 years. My box is broken. They told me you broke it on the show last night.
Well, I really...
You big dummy!
Carson laughed until the audience couldn't hold it together either, and only Rickles could break Carson's personal property and come away with Carson's gratitude. Carson flips the script. Friars Club. Roast of Don Rickles, September 30th, 1970. Dick Cavett, George C. Scott, and Milton Berle all sat on that dais, one of the most concentrated rooms of comedic talent ever assembled for a single television. Told Johnny Carson that nobody liked him in front of a national television audience, and who had called him a dummy in 1965, had to sit in that chair and absorb it.
I could go on talking about Don Rickles all night, folks. But frankly, he's not worth it.
The jokes weren't the funniest part. The sight of Don Rickles having nowhere to go was.
You want to sit out here?
Rickles at peak power. Friars Club roast of Jerry Lewis, 1971.
40 million people that are close to Jerry. We got dumbbell Bill Anderson right now. Jerry Lewis, Patty made the seating arrangements, and this hockey puck, Bill Anderson, from Jersey, who nobody knows, is right in the front.
6 years of Tonight Show appearances with Carson were already on the record by 1971, and the comedy world had arrived at a clear consensus. At any roast Rickles attended, he was the best person in the room. Johnny Carson and Milton Berle both sat on the dais at the Friars Club roast of Jerry Lewis. Both legends, both sharp, and both, by the end of the night, watching Rickles the way you watch someone do something you know is beyond your reach.
I kid around about life and people. You keep it up, Johnny. And I'm going to tell everybody that you double date with Merv Griffin.
Carson held the best seat for Rickles' performances across more than 25 years of Tonight Show appearances, more than any other witness to what Rickles actually was.
But why am I here tonight, Jerry? Because you could get hot again.
Carson told The Guardian that Rickles credited him with opening network television's doors, but what every Tonight Show appearance makes clear is that the respect moved in both directions. Carson didn't keep booking Rickles for 100-plus appearances because of ratings calculations. Carson booked Rickles because watching Don Rickles work a room full of people who didn't know what was coming was simply the most entertaining thing Carson ever got to see.
I didn't want to be here. Had to take a bus all the way from California to be at your cockamamie show here tonight. People said, Jerry wants you. We never even see each other in L.A.
One last time. The Tonight Show, May 31st, 1991. Carson's final Tonight Show episode aired on May 22nd, 1992, which means that on May 31st, 1991, the end was less than a year away, and Don Rickles came back to the show they had built together since 1965 for one of their last shared appearances.
First guest, you all know, Rickles and I have known each other over 30 years. Would you welcome Mr. Warmth, Don Rickles?
Rickles walked out, called Carson a dummy. Carson leaned back and laughed. 26 years of The Tonight Show, and it still worked exactly the way it had in 1965. Because it was never really a bit to begin with. It was a friendship that expressed itself as comedy.
You talk about marriage as a guy in your band. How long have you had that?
Well, I just started...
Get on the Jerry Lewis telethon.
All right. She said you were back... Let me get something.
Well, jump in. You're the host. You're acting so secure since you're leaving.
Here's the angle that most tribute coverage skips entirely. Carson didn't laugh hardest at Rickles because Rickles was the funniest guest on The Tonight Show. Carson laughed hardest at Rickles because Rickles was the only guest who treated Carson like a person instead of a platform.
I've been nice about this. You're going to retire May 22nd, right? And when you retire, I'm going to say, Jay Leno, I always loved him. He was my favorite comedian since he's a kid.
Every other guest arrived at The Tonight Show with an agenda, a film to promote, an album to sell, an image to manage. Rickles arrived to call Johnny Carson a dummy and make him laugh. And he did exactly that for 26 years without variation.
The fashion people voted you as one of the 10 best dressed people.
That is correct.
With this body. I mean, how'd you get on that list?
Don't turn on me.
Carson, who spent 30 years behind that desk watching people perform for him rather than with him, recognized the difference the moment it happened, which is why the first laugh came in under 10 seconds in 1965, and why it was still coming in 1991. Hello, dummy. The Tonight Show, 1965. What nobody brings up when covering this moment is the power gap in that room. Rickles walked onto The Tonight Show in 1965 with 0 network television credits, none, a Vegas club act, and nothing else, while Carson already sat at the center of late-night television with millions of viewers tuning in every night. And that's when Rickles looked Carson dead in the eye and called him a dummy. No warm-up, no what an honor to be here, just dummy. Carson broke in under 10 seconds, which is worth sitting with because Carson's composure was legendary. Going back through dozens of Tonight Show cold opens to study how long it typically took guests to crack Carson. Most needed 2 or 3 minutes of build before the host gave them anything. Rickles got there with one line. The follow-up landed just as clean. Your poor parents must be back in Nebraska eating locusts. And Carson doubled over completely. That 1965 appearance reshaped Rickles' entire career because Carson's laugh wasn't just a reaction. It functioned as a cosign, Carson telling 10 million viewers that this man was the real thing. Every one of those 100-plus Tonight Show visits that followed was built on the foundation of those 2 lines delivered in 1965. Born on May 8, 1926 in Queens, New York, Don Rickles never wrote down a single joke across a 60-year career. Frank Sinatra found him at a nightclub in 1957 and personally launched his Las Vegas career. And in 1985, Sinatra arranged for Rickles to perform unrehearsed at President Reagan's second inaugural ball, an event Rickles later called the high point of everything he'd done. Over 100 Tonight Show appearances with Johnny Carson followed across 3 decades. A Primetime Emmy came in 2008 for the HBO documentary Mr. Warmth, The Don Rickles Project. At 88, Rickles headlined a birthday show at the Apollo Theater in 2014, appeared on David Letterman's Late Show in 2015 as one of its final guests, and passed away on April 6, 2017, at 90. The Tonight Show partnership with Johnny Carson is the center of the whole story. 2 men, 26 years, over 100 appearances, and not one written joke between them. The funniest thing on television, and every word of it was real. Like and subscribe for more videos on the golden age of American comedy. We'll see you in the next one.